Everybody knows how India got its name. India now, I think they're trying to change it back to Bharat. So India got its name originally from Bharat Maharaj. So we're going to learn about his life and few lessons from his life if possible. So every country, in our experience, has a USP, a unique selling proposition. So for example, US is famous for its liberty, freedom, Hollywood maybe, the comforts of life here and all that. UK is known for royalty, the king, the queens, like that. Germany has maybe German-made cars. Japan is known for its technology. China is known for its cheap knockoffs. India is also known for something. Usually it is said you can know an Indian when the shampoo is over. He puts water in it, shakes and uses it more. An Indian is someone who once the toothpaste is over, you would roll it over and squeeze the last bit of it. Then you know he is an Indian. So Indians, usually you get a t-shirt, we wear it in the day, and eventually when it gets little old, then we start using it at night. Then it is no longer good for night-time t-shirt also. Then we save it for Holi. And if it is not usable there also, then we use it as cleaning cloth. So Indians are known for their sparing nature. We save. Reusable. Instead of throwing it.
I bet that's where the idea of recycling came from.
So India is famous for many things like this. Of course, India is famous for Bollywood. India is also famous for cricket. Culture, architecture, varieties of food items. We have so much varieties of food. There was once Albert Einstein. He was on a long aeroplane.
Oh, I know this.
So he was on.
Was there even airplanes when Einstein was there?
Huh?
And then there was the Indian guy.
So when he was on an aeroplane,
Oh yes.
it was a long aeroplane. So after some time he got bored. So he said, okay, let me do something. And he turned to the right and he found an Indian. He said, me being the great scientist, I'll ask you a question. And if you are unable to answer a question, you will pay me $1. And you can ask me a question. And if I am unable to answer, me being a great scientist, I will pay you $1,000 or $100, some big number.
It was 1,000. It was
100? It was
Yeah,
100.
it was 100.
They're there.
It was
They
like-
know
it was like-
okay, we'll stick with
It's
100.
like you pay me 100 and then I pay 1,000 or something like that.
No, $1 and 1,000.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
okay. Those are not the important details. We haven't begun the class yet. So when we get to the Bhagavad Gita shlokas, then we need to be precise. These are okay. The important thing is, this is a joke by the way coming up. So the Indian man confidently said, all right, this is a good game. Your turn first. So the Albert Einstein thought, wow, this is nice, very confident. So he asked, what is the distance between the sun and the earth? So the Indian guy coolly took $1 from his pocket. He said, I don't know. Albert Einstein said, your turn now. So the Indian guy said, what animal goes uphill with 3 legs but comes down with 4 legs? Albert Einstein was shocked. He never heard this before. So he immediately searched his notebooks, assuming they have internet. So he searched, he called his colleagues,
Assuming they
and
have phones.
somehow none of them could answer. And frustrated, he said, he took out $100, we agreed, $100 from his pocket, slammed on the Indian guy. He said, I don't know. Indian guy coolly took it, put it in his pocket and went to sleep. Albert Einstein was frustrated. He said, I just gave you $100. Tell me, which animal goes uphill with 3 legs and comes down 4 legs? The Indian man coolly took $1 out and he said, I don't know. So Indians are also known for their smartness, the software hub and all that. But one thing India is uniquely known for its contribution to the world, is the spiritual knowledge. So we will hear about one such story from ancient India. Let me share my screen here. Okay, we will take his question.
Just inside here.
So, by the way, I will pause periodically to take reflections and questions. But if you still feel the urge that you want to share, you can do so. You forgot?
Thinking.
Okay, all right, no problem. So today we're going to hear about the story of Bharat Maharaj. He was a king for some time, and Bharat Maharaj, of course, later he became a sannyasi. So we will take few lessons from there, and eventually he actually became a deer. And at the end, I don't know if we'll have time to learn through the lessons from his third life, where he is called as Jada Bharat. So originally, the entire Earth planet was just one place. One king was ruling, one emperor was ruling it. And before Bharat was born, it used to be called as Anjanabha. And then when eventually Rishabdev is the father of Bharat Maharaj, I think some of you who know the history of Jainism, for example, Jainism actually was started by Rishabdev. Rishabdev is considered to be an incarnation of God. He had 100 sons, and he's the one who started Jainism. So his first son is Bharat Maharaj, so on whose name the land of India came to be known as Bharatvarsha. Bharat was very unique that he was a king as well as a saint. So earlier in our Vedic tradition, people from the age of 5 till 25, they would be brahmacharis and they would stay in Gurukul and they would learn the Vedic sciences and so many other useful sciences along with God consciousness. Also included in the spiritual knowledge was what is the purpose of life, what is the goal of life according to the Bhagavad Gita and various shastras, and how do we control our senses. We know we are here, we want to go there, but while we are traveling that path, we will have so many distractions. So they would learn how to control their mind, how to have good speech, all that. And then eventually they would graduate, at which point many of them would become grihasthas, as they would marry and they would lead a dharmic life, they would have children, they would do some work and things like that, just like most of us are. But of course, their principles were founded on dharma and spirituality was the main thing for them. For us right now, it's like a side thing for us. So Bharat Maharaj, because he got trained from a young age, he was a rishi also, and his father requested him to be the king. So he took up the responsibility just as a service to his father. Usually here, we know people are fighting for kingdoms and so many movies have come out. This brother, that brother fighting for kingdom. Usually in the ancient India, that wasn't the case. People weren't so attached to the positions and the comforts and things that a king would get. They were more interested in getting to the ultimate goal of life. But as a service to his father, he accepted it and he became the emperor of the entire world. Not sure if it's visible for you, but anyway, I'm covering most of them. And he used to have very rigid spiritual practices. So when it came to his spiritual practices, he was very pakka. He would wake up in the morning. He performed many yajnas for the benefit of everyone. And he would distribute whatever results he got to all his praja. And because he was doing these yajnas for the satisfaction of the Supreme, he himself was very satisfied. There is a story about a strike. Have you heard about the strike? No. So once different bodily parts, they came together, they had a meeting. They said the hands, the legs, the eyes, the mouth, they all came and complained that this tummy, we are doing all the hard work of cooking, cutting, making wonderful items, and the mouth said, I am chewing so nicely and putting it into the tummy. All the tummy is doing is enjoying. That's it. So they had a strike. They said, all right, we will no longer cooperate. Non-cooperation movement started from there. So for many days, they stopped feeding the tummy. Do you know what happened, kids?
The, uh, the person,
The tummy,
the
the hands, legs, okay.
the,
What was I saying? Okay, Shyam.
so like after they didn't feed the tummy for like a few
Days.
days, the tummy got like weak, and they also got weak because they derived all their energies, like the tummy didn't just enjoy like ate and then it gave like give the energy to others, so like
So basically what happened is, thank you. We will give a round of applause to all the kids for attending. Okay, so yeah, I think that's expected. So all the hands started to lose all their energy. Eyes started, everything became dim and dull and unclear. Legs didn't have the energy to move. So they realized actually the tummy, even though they were all serving the tummy wasn't keeping all that to itself. It was actually in turn supplying that energy back to all these different bodily parts. So similarly, when we serve the Supreme Lord, when we say the Supreme Lord is there in everyone's heart, but of course He is there also as a person. So when we understand who is God, how to serve Him, what did He ask us to serve? How did He ask us to serve? If we understand all those and serve in that capacity, what will happen is the Supreme Lord is pleased. And as soon as the Supreme is pleased, naturally, as a side effect, all the living entities would be pleased, including us. And that's what happened in the story of Bharat Maharaj. So he was trying to focus on the root of the tree. Krishna is many a times compared to the root of the tree. The tree has trunk, many branches, many twigs, leaves.
Can't go without the roots.
Can't go without the roots. So it is mentioned, serving the Supreme is like watering the roots. As soon as we water the roots, we no longer have to go to each branch and leaves. We don't have to do that. So as soon as we pour water onto the root of the tree, the whole tree gets nourished. So similarly, when we focus on pleasing the Supreme, it's a little difficult for most of us to understand how that can happen actually.
It's a chain reaction.
It's a chain reaction. See, kids are able to get it.
couple better.
Yeah, these are actually all special souls. Right? Little monkeys. No?
Monkey one.
And this is another defining quality of Bharat Maharaj. Because he was pleased completely within himself. He didn't need any other external validation or comforts and other things like that. He treated everyone equally. He treated his whole praja, his all citizens, as if they are his own children. So very difficult actually. If you think about it, managing 1-2 children itself, being cool, composed, positive with them, is very challenging. Now, if we were to do this with all citizens as a king, that's very difficult. But he was able to manage that. So there is a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastine Sunichai Veshvapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. It mentions that a Pandita, a learned person, is someone who has Samadarshinaha. he has an equal vision. Somebody who is able to see a learned person, Vidyavanaya Sampanne, Brahmane, a Brahmana, Gavi, a cow, an elephant, a dog eater, everyone with an equal vision. Equal vision doesn't necessarily mean treating all of them equally. For example, I may hug a person, but I can't hug a tiger. I won't be there to hug anybody else later. So, but we see everyone with equal vision and we understand what is the best thing that we can give to uplift them spiritually. And he always thought of the Supreme Lord in his heart. And most importantly, he taught by his example, not just by his words, but by his actions as well. Actually, I was listening to a class today morning. My Guru Maharaj was mentioning. So this is the lessons, and this is the first lesson. I'll mention what I heard in the class later. So from Bharat Maharaj, we can understand this, that it is possible to be materially successful and spiritually committed as well. And when we have the priorities properly aligned, then we will certainly be able to do that. So, and Bharat Maharaj is one such wonderful example, which is why Bharat Varsha came to be known as Bharat Varsha. I mean, after that there were so many more kings that came later, but his position was ingrained. Okay.
Yeah, so why is India known as Bharat Desam if he ruled the whole world?
Actually, everything used to be called as Bharat Varsha. Only later, new countries were formed later on. Originally, Bharat Varsha included the whole world. Thank you.
Why was Bharat named after like the Raja and Rishi Bharat, but not the Rama's brother Bharat?
Actually, Rama's Bharat came much before than this Bharat.
Yeah.
And then there is one more Bharat, which we will not talk now. Dushyanta and Shakuntala's son is also considered. I mean, anyway, yeah. So he came much later. So, is that helpful? I mean, if they would have named Rama Varsha then, because Rama was more popular, and Bharat would have liked it to be called Rama Varsha because everybody loved Rama, and they know that would have been more beneficial for more people. Okay, all of you get ready to be here for some time. Yes.
So if Rama's Bharat came before like this Bharat, then why was in Rama's time it was also called Bharat Varsha?
I don't think it was called Bharat Varsha. As far as I know. Rama Varsha. I don't know the source what it was called, but sometimes, of course, the authors, when they are referring to, for our easier understanding, they may refer to as Bharat Varsha, but it may be Ajna Varsha, Ajnabha Varsha. So instead of, if they called Ajnabha Varsha, we would not understand what is this. So for our simplicity, for our understanding, they would have referred to like that, if they did. Okay, so second lesson is if the Lord is satisfied, everyone is satisfied. We may take time to understand this, but at least a theoretical point, that is something that we can keep in our minds. And this is certainly very helpful and beneficial if we can have equal vision, if we can treat our children and others' children equally. There is another beautiful verse, Chanakya Pandit says, Matravat paradhareshu paradravyeshu lostravat atmavat sarvabhuteshu ya pashyati sa panditaha. He defines an educated person, somebody who is a pandita, is matravat paradhareshu. An educated person is one who considers everyone else except his wife as his mothers. Paradravyeshu lostravat. Someone who considers others' property as garbage. He has no interest in others' property. And Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu. He considers every living entity as his own self. He treats every other living entity as his own self. Usually we notice we have rules. All the rules are for others and all the compassion is for ourselves. So we make a mistake, we say, no, it's okay, to every is human. When the same mistake is made by others, I think, how many times did I have to tell this person? And he keeps repeating the same mistake, we think like that. So this is the standard of a person who is educated. So that's a very beautiful words from Chanakya Pandit. And this is the point I was listening today morning. I thought this was such a beautiful statement actually. The highest form of compassion is our example. I mean, we can all show compassion. Can you please tell me how we can all show compassion or mercy to others? Just shout out. We will take from adults.
Why don't kids?
Kids. We will switch between adults and kids. Please shout out in how can we show compassion to others?
By helping those in need.
By helping those in need. Yes. Anything else?
I want to tell you.
By forgiving them all.
By forgiving them is also a form of compassion. That's nice.
Spending some time if possible.
Wonderful point. Even time, actually.
By just listening to another person, what they have to say, that is.
Giving our attention, actually.
Yeah.
That's very rare. Very nice points.
I just wanted to say that we could start with the question because spouse, that's the first place, where we have that friction comes, where we don't understand each other or, having that compassion for each other when we understand each other's situation or problem.
Charity begins at home.
Yeah,
Yes.
then we
So
could extend this to outside.
it's actually very difficult. I mean, it's easy to be compassionate to a beggar on the street. One time, no, anyway, no problem. You have to take this $10. At home. That's why I think when the wife agrees that we are calm and composed and advanced in spiritual knowledge, then we know we have achieved something. Unless wife agrees that whatever good qualities others claim that we have, we can know that they are mostly incorrect. Wife or spouse, husband also same thought. So yeah, very good point. Any other ways how we can show compassion? This side, please.
Compassion towards animals or other
Yes,
creatures.
animals, compassion to other animals. It's very important actually. Any other ways we can show compassion?
Being compassionate to nature, being less wasteful.
Very beautiful point.
Appreciate.
Taking care of the nature. The nature is taking care of us and is providing so much. If we can actually take care of nature, I think that's also a form of compassion. Very nice. Anything else?
Treating others as we treat ourselves.
That's, of course, it's very difficult, but if we can get there, as Chanakya Pandit is saying, Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu, if we can treat other living entities as we pamper ourselves, so that will be very
Keeping
nice.
on telling to do good. Keeping on telling to do good without losing patience.
Bringing the best out of others by patiently encouraging them.
Then
Yeah. Actually,
is that come under
yeah, absolutely. Because the world right now has a lot of money. Everybody has, I mean, not the whole world, but most of them have enough money. What most people lack is what we usually call as sattva guna, goodness. Someone who can bring them up, lift them up. We went out for a spiritual outing in that kitchen. There is a very small quote that imprinted in my heart very beautifully.
By lifting others, right? You grow by lifting others.
Yes. You grow by lifting others. Let's say like that. You grow by lifting others. Such a beautiful statement actually. So we usually think, okay, let me first take care of myself, then I will help others. The way God has created this world is He connected this. So as you are growing, you have to lift others in order to grow as well. So, but out of all of this, I was hearing today, my spiritual master, he was telling, the highest form of compassion that we need now, especially in Kali Yuga, where people are hypocrite. We say something, we do something else. Is the highest form of compassion is our example for others to follow. So if they're able to have the integrity and the courage and the determination to follow what is right, even to our children actually, this is the highest form of compassion. If we can do this on a regular basis, it is mentioned, children hear what we say, but they do what we do. So, yeah, if we can practice this form of compassion, I think that will be very nice. And Bharat Maharaj exemplifies this. There is one shloka in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which says, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tat devataro jana Sayyad pramanam kuruti lukastadanu vartate. It says, whatever great leaders do, common men follow. So whatever standard that great leaders set, that others will follow. So, I mean, we in our own small circle of influence, we are our own heroes. Like we can somehow or other be the best version of ourselves and become better. We can influence others also. Okay, so those are the lessons from Bharat Maharaj as king. We will pause after Bharat Maharaj as sannyasi. So he lived a wonderful life. He took care of his responsibilities. He raised wonderful children, and eventually he decided that even as a king, he was prioritizing his spiritual life. He was taking care of his spiritual life, and there came a point where he decided that I want to do exclusive devotion to the Supreme Lord. No disturbances, no other responsibilities. So then he decided to go to the forest. Of course, back in this age, in the age where Bharat Maharaj was there, sannyas was recommended. Usually, we were mentioning earlier, there is something called Brahmachari Ashram, which 5 to 25, we're supposed to be trained, and then 25 to maybe around 45, 50, we were supposed to be in something called Grihastha Ashram, where wife and husband and children, whereas Grihastha we have certain responsibilities, like we have to take care of other ashrams actually. We have to give donation, time, our energy in organizing and enabling spiritual activities to go on. So that's the main responsibility of Grihasthas actually. In the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, a detailed description of each of these ashram and what are their main responsibilities are given. Because none of us got any formal training, so hopefully we will cover those one day. And then eventually it is mentioned, Vanaprastha Ashram is the third, where we give up most of our responsibilities. We have taken care of our responsibilities. Children have already grown up, they are on their own. We maintain celibacy. We spend most of our time with spiritual activities. But we are allowed to stay with the wife, take physical help, emotional support, and all that. And finally, the 4th stage is called sannyas, which is not recommended in Kali Yuga for most of us. In sannyas means we leave all the connections, absolutely no connections, no WhatsApp video calls to parents, kids, anybody else. Complete disconnection and complete focus on the goal of life. We will now take some comments from kids. What is the goal of life? We will start with Akshay.
To worship and serve God.
To worship and serve God. Who agrees? Adults, anybody agrees? Raise your hand if you agree.
Only kids, yeah.
Okay, 40% agree. We will give him a clap. Okay, there is more. I mean, not a single point. Usually there are many points. Okay, Shriyan.
To do whatever Krishna wants us to do, or serve him in whatever way we can.
To do what Krishna wants us to do
Or serve him in any way he can.
And serve him in whatever possible ways we can. Okay, we will give him also. Any other kids wants to take a guess on what is the goal of life? Okay, I think they covered pretty much. I think the main thing. Of course, the other concomitant goal is, of course, this is the main goal, but we as living entities, we want to elevate our consciousness, not degrade, but elevate our consciousness wherever we may be. The way our Vedic Shastras are written is, it's not that you have to come to this platform, otherwise you are doomed to go to hell. So you have to reach this, otherwise no. It's not like that. The way it is written is steps. If you're here, please try to come here. If you're here, please try to come here. Like that. So it's an uplifting process. So one of the things that we all can do is see where we are and push forward to the next level as much as possible. It is mentioned it should be a little painful. If we are too comfortable, then we are not doing something right, especially in our spiritual life. So Bharat Maharaj, he gave up the kingdom after taking care of his responsibilities for exclusive devotion in the forest. So he went to an ashram called Pulaha Ashram near Gandaki river. That's where Shaligram Shilas are found, apparently. So in the forest, he ate whatever little fruits and roots he was able to get. And everything he got, he would offer to the Supreme Lord. From the morning till evening, he would do various types of meditations and pujas that are recommended in the Vedic scriptures. So by increasing his absorption in devotional practices like this, he developed deeper and deeper absorption, and he experienced deeper and deeper transcendental happiness. Something that's very difficult to explain or understand, but someone who has little experience can appreciate. So he was able to experience so much satisfaction in his heart, ultimate happiness, that he didn't really need any other things of this world. It is mentioned there are, of course, everything in Shastra, it's like just like Apple Watch measures, and there are rings to measure how many steps we took and things like that. Shastras also give a way to measure. It's not just a mental feeling that, okay, I feel I am elevated now, I feel I am experiencing transcendental happiness. There are actually many symptoms that are given like that. So he was experiencing many of those ecstatic symptoms where he was continuously crying, remembering the Supreme Lord. So eventually, okay, we come to the quiz. There is a quiz.
This is our time. Could only kids.
Okay, the purpose of Bharat going to Pulaha Ashram was to meditate and merge into the impersonal light, to take, by the way, there can be multiple answers that are right, to take a break from the stress and struggle arising in kingly life, to pursue his spiritual career by worshipping the Supreme Lord to attain love of God, to renounce everything that is dear to one's heart, his queen, family and vast empire. Who thinks A is right? We need to be quick because we are short on time. A is right? Anybody who thinks A is right? Actually, that's not true. We will talk more about what's the difference between the impersonal light and the Supreme Person. But that wasn't his goal. He wasn't interested in. Okay, B, to take a break from stress and struggle? Certainly not. C, to pursue his spiritual career? Looks like it, right? Yeah, to develop love of God. And D, to renounce everything that is dear to one's heart? No, that wasn't his purpose. He wasn't primarily interested in renouncing. My wife, she's disturbing me a lot. No, that wasn't his thought process. My kids, they don't listen to me only. Let me, good excuse I have. So that wasn't the case for him. So B and C.
B. Oh. Wait, how? Wait, he was taking a break?
So he went to the forest. We will switch gears. We will try to cover. So when he went to the forest, one day he was taking bath in the river. And as he was taking bath, he saw a deer, a pregnant deer on the other side. So it was drinking water. And the deer suddenly heard a loud roar from that side. Like, kids woke up now. So as soon as the deer heard this sound, out of fear, it is actually mentioned, you will notice animals, almost all animals, the prominent feature of an animal is, by default, they are always fearful. They are looking in this direction. You see a chicken eating, so looking in this direction. Like this, so it keeps on looking in all directions because it's continuously worried. Most animals are like that. So as soon as this deer heard this loud roar of the lion, it immediately jumped, leaping across the river. And in that process, as it is jumping, it delivered a baby deer, a fawn, and it jumped across, and it fell down, and it died. So Bharat Maharaj saw this, and he saw the fawn floating in the water, so motherless, or feeling compassionate because he was a king in his past, just recently. So immediately he said, okay, protecting them is my responsibility. So he took the fawn and he took it with him and he fed green grass every day. And he cared for it affectionately. And he was very much attached to that deer. So here is a quiz question for kids. Okay, Bharat lifted the helpless floating deer from the water, brought it to his ashram because A, he was self-realized to see all living beings as spirit souls, children of God. It's, who think it may be, option A may be right? Yes, it's possible. I mean, yeah, certainly, he is self-realized. Actually, he was experiencing so much transcendental happiness, he understood he is not the body, he is the soul and all that. So he was able to see like that. Option B, its mother doe had died, leaving the child doe as an orphan. That's also valid. C is, it is natural for any saintly person to feel compassion for suffering souls. Right? Yes. And D, it would be valuable to have a pet and have sweet relationships for a change in the dry jungle. No.
How is the jungle dry?
Dry as in without people and less rasa. We didn't have any. Okay, we passed the test. So as he was caring for the deer, he became attached actually. So he would walk with it wherever the deer would go. He would sleep with it. He would even eat with it. He bathed with it. And eventually he became very, very attached with the deer. And anytime he would have to go out to pick up fruits and flowers, he was very, very fearful. Oh, what would happen to my deer? Maybe some fox, some tiger, some lion will come and eat it. So he was constantly thinking about the deer. And not only that, he took pleasure as the deer was jumping around. He was thinking, wow, so cute. Seeing how the deer was jumping, behaving. He would touch the deer and he would feel, wow, so soft. We do it with our kids also sometimes. Chubby cheeks, dimple chin. Like that. So, and he would kiss it. So he was very attached. He became very attached to the deer like that. So in one sentence, the deer became very dear to him. So because of that, he neglected his spiritual duties. It is mentioned that he was experiencing one of the higher transcendental realizations and so much ecstasy he was experiencing. But because he became distracted, even though he was performing, you can see in this picture, he is performing something, but his mind is somewhere else actually. So he was thinking, oh, what happened to my deer? Is it here, still running? Or some animal came and attacked? So, okay, here comes third question. What is your opinion about Bharat's care of the deer? It is wonderful. Anyone in this world should learn from Bharat how to treat our pets. Is this true? No. It was a big mistake on the part of Bharat to have brought the deer to ashram. Who thinks this is true? No? It's not such a big mistake. On his part. Okay. Let's see third part. Caring for the deer was perfect, but not worthy at the cost of his spiritual life. We agree with this point? Everybody? Some? Who doesn't agree? No? We want to hear?
Not that it's not like, at the cost of spiritual life. That is also part of the spiritual life, taking care of something should also be part of the
Check everyone equal, right? So treat everyone equal.
Treat everyone equal.
Caring for the.
Interesting. So here is Shastra's take on this. So that's exactly, actually, I skipped many points here. But Bharat Maharaj was actually thinking like this only. He was actually thinking that I am the king. This deer took shelter of me. It is actually my responsibility to provide protection to this deer. And this is my spiritual practice, he thought. But apparently, he was wrong. So, I think maybe the next question will address this point. It is mentioned, at every point in our spiritual progress, we need guidance of superiors. We need guidance of spiritual people who can tell us whether sometimes like this, it looks spiritual, but it may not be spiritual. So we may be taking care of our responsibilities, but in the name of taking care of our responsibilities, we actually may be doing disservice to our primary goal of life. So the way it is mentioned is, I think I was giving this analogy before. Once one teacher took her students to a beach. She asked all of them to bring a bucket. So they got buckets. So she said, put sand. So everybody put sand. Then fill to the brim of the bucket. Then she said, can you put any more pebbles? So she said, they put few pebbles, but that's it. She asked, can we put any rocks? They said, no space, sorry. She asked, okay, empty it out. Now first put rocks. They were able to put many rocks actually. And she asked, is it full now? They said, yes. She said, now put some pebbles. So they were able to put pebbles and shake it, and many pebbles went inside. They were able to fill in many pebbles. And eventually she asked, is it completely full now? They said, yes. And then she asked, can you put now sand in it? And they put sand. They were able to shake, and some more sand, actually much more sand than they anticipated, was able to go in. And then she told the moral of the story, which I am also narrating here, which is, if we keep the main thing, we were discussing the other day, if we keep the main thing, so the main thing in spiritual life is to keep the main thing. If we actually take care of rocks in our life first, we will have another session where, why spirituality is an important rock compared to our health, for example, our responsibilities, our job, our children, and so many other things. But if you just accept from me, from future, that we will prove that point. Spirituality is one of those rocks, and if we take care of those first, and then we can take care of the other pebble-like things in our life. What we will notice is, I think some of you who are joining for our morning chanting and reading calls, you can probably comment. So it's a half an hour that you spend in the morning. So technically you only have 23.5 hours left, right? Do you think the remaining 23.5 hours are more productive? Do you feel, compared to your previous experience, do you feel you are more productive, more happy, or you are thinking, oh God, I wasted half an hour of my time, I now have less time? Anyone who is joining the morning calls can comment. Kishorji?
It's more productive, discipline, and more energized.
And maybe someone from Mataji's can comment. Do you feel when you prioritize your spiritual life, do you feel it is beneficial in your dealings with your spouses or children? I mean, effectively you're taking, let's say, 2 hours of your valuable time, which is very, very big actually, if you calculate properly. We have very less free time per se. But if you're taking 2 hours to hear a Bhagavad Gita session, let's say, can anyone say that it is helping actually? The quality of your interactions are becoming better. Many people are nodding. Chaviji, you want to share something?
I'm not joining the morning calls, but I can say that these sessions, even the weekly sessions, staying in touch with the group and listening to the discourse every week helps me stay on track. It points, whenever in a trouble situation or any friction, I'm able to relate back.
See, that's a very valid point. Let's give a round of applause to Kishore and Kansa. So it is actually, when we keep the main thing, other things will automatically take care actually. I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, it's very easy for us sitting here, Bharat Maharaj, he gave up his entire kingdom. Can you imagine, like Donald Trump is fighting till his last tooth to become president again. Bharat Maharaj, he was undisputed emperor for many, many years. He ruled such amazingly, but still he was able to give it up just like that, because he knows my priority is my spiritual life. And
I think material detachment is one thing which is very important for spiritual life. Wherein I remember the earlier Maharaj which were here, he told us about Rasgulla, right? Rasgulla gives some pleasure. Saving some animal is giving probably more pleasure. But the ultimate pleasure is somewhere else. So that's what I think you try to raise the point, right?
Also, yeah, I think the second point about actually Bharat Maharaj took care of the deer for so long. Even though the deer became big enough, he actually never let the deer mix with other deers, and he could have continued his spiritual practices, for which he gave up his kingdom, family, and so many things. But instead he was stuck here. Okay, so here is a wonderful analogy for all of us. What is your opinion about TV, movies, smartphones, and media use in modern times? Option A, people are becoming impersonal. Keep limited use and enjoy life with friends and family. To some extent we agree. We live in the most disconnected times.
I agree that I should enjoy life with my family. But
They ruin our academics, kids especially, due to overuse. Actually, they ruin our relationships also. I will carefully use them and focus on spiritual life. So, by the way, this is TV, movies, smartphones, games, media. Third option, they are a great boon to the modern youth, as they have boosted our entertainment to great level. Okay, you agree? It's difficult for most of us to accept, but if we can theoretically accept, I think this will be very beneficial for us to come to this realization and say no on a moment-to-moment basis will be very, very difficult for us. We will all be honest. We will not act like sadhus here. But if we can theoretically understand and agree, yes, smartphone, most of the time we spend night, we go to bed, we feel I haven't achieved enough. You open the smartphone, next 1 hour, YouTube shorts, TikTok, whatever is famous, you keep looking. After 1 hour, you feel frustrated more. You're thinking, the mind, earlier it said, come on, all the enjoyment is in this phone only. Just unlock it. And after 1 hour, it scolds us. Are you stupid? Yesterday also I told you. Today also you wasted the same thing. Tomorrow you have the morning meeting. you are least prepared. End of the sprint, you're supposed to deliver. No status update only. So like that. So yeah, if we can at least theoretically understand and take some steps in that direction, slowly, but surely we will all be able to win over these small demons. I will not let them distract me from spiritual life as deer distracted Bharat. I'll use them with caution and care in Lord's service and for my academics, not spoiling my life.
Wait, then we can use, if we have a phone, we can use it to calculate instead of calculating with a pen and paper. Easy.
Yeah, previously, we used to remember at least 15 phone numbers. But these days, we don't even remember. So it is even taking away our brain capacity.
Actually, these are all connected. In science, there is so much research going on about our ability to remember as the generation, as every generation is going by, is going down. Anyway, well. Okay, we will continue on to the story. So, as he got attached, one day when he went to collect some fruits and roots from the forest, he lost track of the deer. So when he came back, he couldn't find the deer. So he was worried maybe a tiger or a wolf ate it. So he started searching for it frantically. Thank you. And then he thought, oh, he is my little prince. Where did you go? Oh, I miss him. So he was thinking like that. So it pained him in his heart. We also feel like that for our children. We are so attached. Oh, chubby cheeks. I miss him like that. And eventually the blazing fire of separation from him, he was consumed by so much by it that like a madman he roamed around the entire forest searching for the deer. And eventually, while searching, he fell into a valley and he was near his death. As death was staring at him, he saw in his imagination, the deer next to him like a son, licking him, patting him, showing, of course, he was imagining all of this. And his heart was completely filled with the deer. He was thinking, oh my dear, where have you gone? Now as I am leaving my body, you have come back. And as thinking like this, various thoughts came to his mind. None of what he did as a king, none of the practices he did as a devotee came to his mind. All he could remember is how soft the fur of the deer is, how cute his eyes are, how nicely it was jumping around, what all entertainment they did together, ate together. This is all he was able to remember. So remembering the deer like this, he left his body. Like this. This is what he was thinking as he was leaving his body. Okay. Bharat, after falling to the ground and fatally wounded, watched deer like an affectionate son. Option A. Such absorption in material relationship degrades the soul to lower bodies of animals. Anybody thinks like this? It is mentioned that it's actually true. If we are thinking of an animal, a pet animal, we will also become such animal in our next life. After all, showing affection to such innocent creatures as pets should not be discouraged. Is this true or not? Not. I mean, within the limits, but not to this extent. Option C, if we can have a pussy cat or a puppy dog like our affectionate son, life would be enjoyable. or kids also is included. Yeah, not true. Spiritual life is a serious business. If we give up attachment to Lord and become preoccupied developing attachment to cat, dog, woman, material relationships, men included for women, then we may fall down. So this is true. Okay, next question. What is the law of last thought? Not lost thought, last thought. Absorption according to the Bhagavad Gita 8.5 and 8.6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunseya sada tad bhava bhavitah. So whatever one is thinking at the time of death is what they become in their next life. So, of course, whatever state of mind we have while quitting the body at death, we attain that state. Of course, I just said so. Option A is true. Law of last thought is the grateful thoughts one gets for relatives at the time of death are the real essence of life. And a person who gets such feelings of gratitude is a success in life. Actually, we should have this while we are living, so we can do something about it, not at the time of death. Because that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is not to be grateful at death. The goal of life is Ante Narayana Smriti. Our mental state during life brings positive or negative or spiritual thoughts at death. Agrees? Anyone agrees? So whatever most of the time we are thinking while living is what we will most likely think at the time of death actually. That's very important. What desires, what thoughts we cultivate now. So we have to be careful. We get what we are looking for. Either sense gratification or Krishna. Make wise choice. That is mentioned, whatever we desire and deserve is what we get in our next life. So, okay, here is another very important question. If death comes to us the next moment, what body do you feel we might get? I may become a puppy dog of my girlfriend, as we are very attached to her. I may become a scientist in NASA, as I am mad after space research. I may be born in some pious family, as I have a curiosity to know and search for God, or something else. We cannot. Yeah, we can all answer ourselves. We don't have to.
Number 4.
Okay, so he became a deer. I think I will finish the story with what happened as the deer. So Bharat Maharaj, he became a deer. But by Krishna's mercy, he was able to remember. Usually animals don't remember. Of course, even we don't remember our past lives. But as deer, he was able to remember his past life. So, and Bhagavad Gita and so many other places also, Krishna mentions this again and again. Neha bhikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahatu bhaya. It says even little bit of spiritual practice in this life can save one from the greatest dangers. We will all have this experience in future for sure. We will all see how, maybe one day we will talk about Ajamil. I'm sure some of you may have heard about this story of how one person on his deathbed called his son Narayan, Narayan. And he was actually calling his son and seeing Yamadutas, because all his life all he did was nonsense only. But Yamadutas were taking him, but Vishnudutas also came. And Yamadutas were bewildered. Who are these tall, strong, effulgent personalities? We never saw them. Usually these two people don't go to the same soul. So yeah, naturally they were bewildered and they said, no, he's ours. He's our wicket. You cannot claim it. But Vishnudutas say, no, he's ours. And then Ajamil, on his deathbed, he sees their conversation. It's a very beautiful conversation. I'll not get into the detail now. And Yamadutas say he was calling his son Narayan, not your master Narayan. It doesn't matter, because he has been calling Narayan throughout his life. He accumulated so much spiritual credit that you can go and check, all his karma would be wiped off already. So they go back and they check. Magically, as we see in movies, all of it was gone. So Ajamil, who was seeing this conversation, he realizes, "Arey, what a fool I was. I was born in a wonderful family, but because of bad association, I fell down from my good position and did all sorts of nonsense." So he could clearly see, wow, I was saved from the greatest danger. In his next 12 years, it is mentioned, he practiced everything perfectly, pakka this time, and he attained perfection at the end of his life. So similarly, Bharat also here, remembering the mistake he made, even though the animal body is full of ignorance, he was able to do 4 things. He was able to give up his attachment. He first lamented so much, "Oh, I had the greatest opportunity to perfect my life in that very life itself, but I uselessly wasted. I gave up big kingdom, but I got attached to the deer." Of course, we can all look in our own lives to see what is our deer or so many other bad habits we may have, addictions we may have, so many other distractions we may have. One thing we can all take hope in is we will get help. Just as the Supreme Lord here, if you read Bhagavatam, you will see so beautifully Krishna is there in the heart of every living entity as Paramatma. Even our own parents, we as parents, sometimes after telling our children, we give up on them. That this guy anyway will not listen to anyone. But can you imagine a father coming after us lifetime after lifetime, even though we are rejecting him every time? "No, I don't want you in my life. Get out from my life. I don't care about you. Please don't bother me. Please don't disturb me." And we keep telling this to God every lifetime. But still, lifetime after lifetime, with so much patience and love, comes as Paramatma, guides us. "Wake up, wake up. Remember, you made a resolution to go to gym. Please wake up."
Go to jail.
Gym, not jail. So whatever voice we hear in our mind like that, that's the voice of the Paramatma guiding us. Whenever we hear something positive, that's within our mind, it's usually the Paramatma guiding us. So he lamented, Bharat Maharaj, as the deer lamented. He gave up his family, his deer family, and he went to the Pulaha ashram where he was practicing, and he ate dried grass there. So he was very careful not even to eat opulent grass according to deer body. And he associated with sages. This time he did not do this mistake that Bharat Maharaj did. So it is mentioned that Bharat, if there was some other devotee close by, he would have said, "Bharat Prabhu, what are you doing? You give up the kingdom and you are getting attached to the deer. Please watch out. You are supposed to focus on your spiritual life." And in the bud itself, that could have been nipped, and he would not have developed any attachment. So the biggest mistake, one of the main lessons from Bharat Maharaj getting attached to the deer is this, is association. The importance of association for all spiritualists at every level actually. So what this deer did is it went to this ashram, stayed close to the ashram, and it would hear all the discussions of the sages, even though he was in a deer body. And ultimately, death has come for the deer, and he then took the birth of Jada Bharat, which we will discuss some other time.
What?
Okay, so we'll take few reflections. Reflection is something that you heard, you liked, you understood, that you want to take away with you. So we will have a mic and you can share your reflections. We'll take some, maybe 1 or 2 points from here, 1 or 2 points from here, 1 or 2 points from here.
Me?
Anything that you like.
It's on your.
Can you?
Yeah, the reflection is here it talks about the attachment. So how we are attached to the things or materialistic things or some animal or some gadget. So we have to focus on the consciousness, like I am Supreme Consciousness, Krishna. Then, so until our end up, if you the whole life, if you are close to the good people and then close to the God, at the end of the life, when you are dying, you'll be with the same thought of spiritualness, and then you will get a good life in the next janma. So that's one of the things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take.
So, can you switch it off? So that's a very nice point. Sometimes if we are able to perfect our life, we don't even have to take birth in material world at all. We will go back to the spiritual world where all such people who are all selfless, complete with love and all that, they will be able to. We'll take one more reflection from the back.
And one more point, like even Gandhiji also, when he is dying, in the last minute, he said, "Hey Ram." So he was able to decide that because whole life he was thinking about Ram, and then at the last moment also he was able to do. So he might have achieved salvation.
Nice. Anyone from the back bench?
I was thinking about two things. One is intention and action. So it seems that in a spiritual journey, sometimes even action is more important than intention. In a sense that even if unconsciously you are repeating some names, so that starts building up your so in intention, sometimes your intention can be you're doing few things because of fear, insecurity. So those are those are inherent feelings. But if you're doing certain actions like taking names of God, then it's like your impurities from the heart may also dissolve. But at the end, it matters like what action you perform, even though whatever things you were feeling or whatever things.
Thank you.
We'll take one reflection from here. As
the mic is coming, kids, you'll get final opportunity. We'll take from adults. Just one quick comment on that. Of course, when the action is with intention, then it is more powerful. When if we do it as a ritual, it's certainly beneficial, but not as beneficial. But if we can understand the spirit behind the ritual, then it becomes spiritual. So, yeah. Okay.
So sometimes we get deviated from lot of things, but again we have to come back and then like stick to what we need at the end.
Yeah, actually this is, as I was thinking about this session, this was the main point I was actually thinking about. It is guaranteed, 100% guaranteed, that almost everyone who walks this path, they will have so many failures. Actually, it is mentioned in Australian army, when they're selecting people, they look at the academics, and they don't usually take someone who passed all exams with distinction. They only select someone who had some sort of failure, because he knows how to handle failure. Otherwise, if they get the failure in the battlefield, they will have absolutely no way to handle it. Another thing that is mentioned is when a flight from San Francisco takes off to New York, for example, there is a projected way. It is mentioned, the flight is on this route only 5% of the time. The remaining 95% of the times, it is course correcting. Oh, too much on the right side. Okay. Oh, too much on the left side. Okay. So only 5% of the times it's on this line, it seems. 95% of the times it is either too much or too little. So like that. So in our own spiritual practice, we will realize, oh, maybe I am too attached. Then we become irresponsible. And oh no, actually this is not good. Then we again become little. So it's a ongoing journey, and we will get help as long as I think we do those ABCDE properly. A for association, B for books. If we are regularly in touch with Shastra is what gives intelligence. It keeps the spiritual intelligence sharp. We are able to make correct decisions even when tempted by the most so-called enjoyable things of this world. So if we want to have that intelligence, we have to be in touch. Shastra, either through hearing or reading, as much as possible we should hear and read. So B is books, and C is for chanting. We should regularly chant, and D is for diet. When we are what we eat. So if we eat sattvic food, free from
I have a question.
Free from any cruelty, any there are a lot of tamasic and rajasic foods also. Food that gives us passion and ignorance and dullness. If we avoid those, we will naturally become happy actually. So if we can control our diet, and then E is for, we haven't actually come to that point, but for $100 I'll give you what an E is. E is executing.
I know.
Actually, in the context of new, for most of us who are new, it is E is executing devotional service or service, actually doing some service. Because ABCD are in many ways theoretical or personal, but E is one item that is selfless, action oriented. So that's why that is also recommended. ABCD. If we do these 5, even though we may fall, no problem. We will get up again because we are in the right association. Many a times we notice this. People come, they take 1 week break because they are very busy with work, and then next week they become sick. 3rd week they become lazy. 4th week they become crazy. So it's very difficult actually to keep that spiritual vibration going. It gets harder and harder and harder. The only way is ABCD, which of all these 5, association is the most essential for everyone. We somehow or the other. So for myself, I usually say, the hell may lose break, but I am going to temple on Sunday. That's my resolution. So that's how we. Shamakumar is little sick this week, but we said, okay, this one of our other resolutions. Whatever happens, we will keep program on Saturday. So that way, it's our service, which is very purifying and pleasing to our hearts, but it's also very beneficial to everyone as well. So like that, we can all identify, okay, these rocks I am not moving. So the rest of the pebbles and sand in my life can move around, but these rocks I am not moving. So like that. Okay, we'll take one more reflection from this side.
What? But you said the last one wanted to be from the kids.
This is not the last one. There's one more.
That side.
Madhviji, please share something.
I like the point.
Come on, reflection now.
Like when you talked about compassion, right? You told setting an example that others will follow, that can follow others. That really clicked into me. Like, that I never thought that can be one way of compassion, but yeah, it really is true.
The highest form of compassion is to give, be an example for others to follow. Very difficult. Easy to speak. 2 hours, 3 hours, lifetime of free suggestions. But following, it's very difficult. Very nice. Okay, we'll give a round of applause for all the reflections. So we will chant or kirtan. We will do chanting for 10 minutes. We will do synchronous chanting. I think and then we will do a short kirtan and we'll wrap up.